Hi, my name's Keziah Gibbons. My pronouns are she and her. I'm the founder of the Guided by Keziah app, and this is this week's tarot reading for the week ahead. So before we start, I'll talk you through the spread that I'm using today, and it's just 4 positions, and it's based around the concept of mastery. So at the moment, I'm teaching a Reiki Master course, which I teach once a year. And it's one of my favourite courses to teach. It's wonderful. We explore very deeply the concept of mastery and what that means to be a Reiki Master. And so I wanted to bring some of these concepts into today's reading. So we have 4 positions. The first is mastery itself. So for you this week, that is going to be, what is this week calling on you to master, and how might you go about that? So what is your mastery this week? And we have in my course, we do have discussions on what does it mean to commit to mastery and to be a Reiki Master. And those are always very interesting. So I would invite you to connect with this concept of mastery as you wish. The next position is personal practice. So again, in the Reiki Master course, Reiki Masters can teach Reiki, they can give treatments to others, but I always emphasize the personal practice aspect of Reiki. We do Reiki first and foremost as a form of self-healing and personal development. And as a result of how we do that and how we are transformed by the practice, we are then able to go and take the Reiki, take the healing and share that with others, which is the next position. How do we take what we're mastering out into the world? So again, this might be about teaching, this might be about sharing practice. So these 2 positions for you this week in terms of your reading for the week ahead are about how your personal practice can be this week, and how you might take your personal practice out into the world. Whatever that practice is, it doesn't have to be about Reiki. This is just a framework for today's reading. And then finally, I wanted there to be space here for guidance. So that is for any guidance that's coming in, and also any guiding energies, any resources that are about to make themselves known to us. So that is the shape of the spread of the reading. And this week I'll be using the Tarot of the Moors by Gina Thies. Okay, so I'll invite you to take a deep breath. Just go inside and ask to receive what you need. And as always, if there's something you're working with this week, something you're working through, and you'd like guidance on that specifically, you can bring it to mind now. But really setting your intention and opening space to receive what you need. And you can take a deep breath with that. Okay, so to start with then, mastery, the concept of mastery. How is mastery present in our week this week? Okay, and here we have the 4 of Swords, and what an interesting card to come up in this space of mastery. So the 4 of Swords, you can see here someone who's reclined, resting in peace. This is always, or almost always, a card of rest. It can sometimes be about withdrawal, taking a break from something. And it's really an invitation to rest. And so I wonder, in the context of it coming up in this position of mastery, is this card an invitation to commit to rest, to mastering the art of rest? Because sometimes we think of rest, don't we, as something that we kind of just do when we can't do anything else. We might not even commit a great deal of space or time to it. We might not give much consideration, much thought into how can we rest well, how can we rest in a way that sustains us, that helps us to thrive. It might just be that we kind of flop down at the end of a long day and, oh, now I'm resting. But with it coming up in this position of mastery, this is a real invitation to, can you master rest? So this might be practices. The swords, by the way, is the suit of the mind. So mental practices, meditation comes to mind a lot. Can you master different forms of rest? Can you make your rest intentional? Whether that's about your sleep at night, whether that is about how you rest your mind, what mental practices do you engage in to allow rest to happen? I'm getting quite a strong yoga nidra. The yoga nidra is suggesting itself to me as I talk through this with you. And that is one form of intentional rest in which we rest the body, although the mind stays awake. So in this position of mastery, this week, can you make rest something central? Can you make rest something that you commit to? Can you make rest something that you are good at? And if you're not good at it yet, what skills can you gain to help you to be better at it by the end of the week? So an invitation to also to using rest towards our mastery of anything else. So the mastery of the mind, again, comes to mind because this is a swords card about mental energy. We have more control over our minds when we are well rested. We are more able to direct our minds and to create our reality when we are well rested. So rest is also something that can contribute to our mastery in other ways. So I'll just put that up there. Okay, so the next position then, personal practice. So this might be how you can access rest, or how you can access that mastery, or how you continue to commit to any mastery that you're already committed to. And the card we have for this is, look at this, the World. So Major Arcana number 21. So this is a card of joy, of completion. But I mean, just look at the person, the figure in this card, really sort of arms out. There's a real sense of joy. And the World is the final card in the Major Arcana. Major Arcana are about life lessons, about spiritual lessons, about the steps on our life path, the big energies that are around us, the spiritual energies. And the World is what happens as we have gone through and integrated all the other lessons of the Major Arcana. We gain this freedom of the world, and the world really becomes our oyster. So for this to come up in personal practice, let's use that phrase, the world is your oyster. Allow yourself some freedom, allow yourself some joy in your personal practice, and allow your personal practice to be something which does complete you, which does bring you to this state of integration and completion and joy. And again, in context with that Four of Swords, it doesn't have to be hard work, it doesn't have to be a lot of effort. You can make your personal practice sacred and meaningful, and still restful, that's for sure. The next position then is in the world. How do you take your mastery and your sacred practice, your personal practice, out into the world? And this is interesting. What we've got here is the Ten of Wands. So the Wands is the suit of fire, of creativity. And the Ten of Wands is kind of a burdensome card. You can see here this person is carrying these 10 wands. They're heavy. And this is a really interesting, it poses an interesting question, especially again in that concept of rest, of that Four of Swords being there, in that context of mastery of rest. So the Ten of Wands often asks you to examine what you're carrying and your reasons for carrying it. This is a little exercise that I like to set for people when the Ten of Wands comes up. And it is to list 10 responsibilities that you're carrying and your reasons for carrying them. And what you might discover is that some of those responsibilities actually don't necessarily need to belong to you. You've taken them on, but you don't need to. So you can put some of them down, or perhaps no longer are as relevant as they once were. And some of them you'll find are still important to you, and that you reconnect with the reasons, which just makes them a bit easier to carry. So in terms of taking your personal practice out into the world, especially in this context of rest, maybe put some of the burdens down. Perhaps you're giving a lot of energy. The ones is about energy and energy work as well. Perhaps a lot of your energy is going out into the world. Perhaps you're carrying it for yourself or other people. And so you can take your mastery, you can take your commitment to rest as something that's worth committing to, worth mastering. You can take that into the world by examining just how much you actually need to be carrying at the moment. And then finally, guidance. So what guidance is around for us this week? So this may be about guides, some resources that we can access, some actions that we can take. Let's see what the cards have for us in the area of guidance. And it's another major arcana, and it's the star. So it's just a really beautiful completion to these 4 cards, actually. So the star is about authenticity, about how you show up as your true self. There is some vulnerability in that, and that's okay. That can sometimes be a bit of a lesson to learn, how to be vulnerable enough to show up authentically. But really the star is in flow. So there is some creative energy. I teach the star in my tarot and creativity module on the magician course. There is some creativity in the star, and it comes from being in flow, being a connection with the universe. You see the star here is carrying a vessel through which flows the energy of the universe, and is wearing flowing robes. So this is really an invitation to show up in authenticity, to be as you are, to be who you are. Perhaps if your identity has been caught up in all of the responsibilities that you carry, this is an invitation to come back to your true self. Who are you when you're not carrying those responsibilities, and how do you show up? And then because this is in the position of guidance, we can look to the stars. So that might mean going out and meditating with the sky, whether you can see the stars or not. Here in the north of England at the moment, we can't. We have clouds instead. But guess what? Behind those clouds are the stars anyway. This might be in a practice with the stars for those of you who are into astrology. It's a reminder that you can find guidance there. If that's not your thing, you can still find guidance in whatever your connection with the stars are. And of course, I do have those 78 meditations around the tarot. So perhaps the meditation with the star might be one way to connect in with that guidance as well. So that's this week's reading. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Please do check out all the tarot and other resources on the Guided by Keziah app. The next module of The Magician is going to be early October, and all Guided by Keziah subscribers get their entry to that live module and the recordings as well as part of the package. So please do come along and join us there for that. Have a wonderful week. I wish you many blessings. Take good care.